Four. All right, we're early. Actually, I'm 50 minutes late. Had to reschedule. I needed to go to the chiropractor, take my wife to the chiropractor. So that's what you do when somebody's in pain that you love. Anyway, um, well, first, thank you guys for putting up with me changing the time schedule on certain things. Things have to move around sometimes, and I appreciate it. Want to welcome all of you guys. Go ahead and post your questions to the Q&A. I'll be addressing each one in just a bit. We want to talk about some of the abnormalities that are taking place. March 3rd, for whatever reason, tomorrow is supposed to be a big date. Something crazy is supposed to happen. I hope nothing happens. We've had a couple of wars started in the last couple of weeks. Um, we have a new Jim Carrey. I don't know if you've noticed. Jim Carrey is no longer with us. They are presenting a new one to the world, and we're just supposed to accept that this is the original Jim Carrey. A lot of weird stuff. I mean, I've been following that guy for my whole life, and this guy that they introduced at the award show who speaks fluent French, who is impersonating Jim Carrey, um, is not Jim Carrey, and you could tell by his eyes and more. It looks like there's a plastic surgery or mask, and it looks like one of those things that they have been working on for some time. But this guy was extremely nervous. Jim Carrey, he isn't nervous for anything, and he is a very different cat. So if you want to go look that one up, it's like, what are we supposed to believe? There's just so much going on in the world right now that just makes things go absolutely bonkers in our heads with what do we believe? And I'm going to tell you, first and foremost, if you are a believer in the Most High, Yahweh, Yahweh, he sent us his son, and I'm not trying to give you a cliche to think about. These are the times when we need to be paying attention to what the Bible says and our true history. Because Trump is not the savior, even though Iran is now calling him the savior. And there's some good cause for that, but he's not Hamashiach. He's not the Messiah, and they are terming it in that form, in that fashion. So I just want to say, guys, careful with this whole narrative. We are moving into a new currency platform, a new system, digital tracking system that China has been using for the last several years. I've been studying the social credit score system now for about a year, trying to get my mind wrapped around how do you get around this? How do you get around this? And I'm telling you, there's always ways to get around, especially when you have cash. When you're liquid and you have the ability to do certain things, it's a very different world. And so we've been working with the His Advocates members on how to put yourself in a better position financially speaking. And I have a feeling this month is a big month. I got some money on it, so we'll see. I hope I'm right. If I'm wrong, it's just a matter of time when we're all going to be blessed beyond, from a standpoint of responsibility, not from a standpoint of riches. I mean, don't get me wrong, you'll have riches, but the reality is you can't take it with you. And so for you VIP members, thank you for all that you do. I'm saying that because you know what we talk about on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Just FYI, this Thursday, I'm going to be in meetings at 9 a.m. So we're going to do tomorrow at 9 a.m. We're going to skip Thursday and go back to again next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Normally it's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. So I just want to give you an update right now. Um, but don't worry about the world. Don't worry about what's going on. I do know this, that it's going to get crazy in a lot of different respects. And there's got to be that element of you creating a peace in your world. And there's got to be that element of you creating a calm in your family, and that you don't cause a discord no matter what's going on, especially for you men that are listening right now. It's time to gird up. Time to understand who you are in Christ, who you are in God, who you are as a man. I don't think for a second God wants us to cowtail, to cower down, to submit to governing authorities that are evil. I want to say, as a believer who has studied the Word of God for going on 30 plus years, I and now understanding what God has shown me over time, through secular means and through religious means and through just historical documentation. Um, I don't believe that we are watching. Let me say it to you this way. I think in every respect that what we have been taught as believers pertaining to Israel is wrong. I don't believe that they are God's chosen people. I don't believe that they are special. I do believe that they are the number one domestic terrorist country represented in the world. I do believe that. I do believe there's more child trafficking. You can find this out on the internet yourself, done from that region, that particular country. I do believe that in that country that we are supposed to be supporting as believers, they have full term abortions up to the point of delivery. And you, as a believer, are told that that is God's chosen people and you are to support them. And the word of God does not reflect that. And I want people to understand I love all nations and all people, and I respect them. But there's a much deeper, not so conspiracy going on right now in this world that needs to really be addressed. And if we are not addressing this and we are leading the sheep into the slaughter because they are to be believe that we are to support one particular nation above another, when in all reality, that specific nation looks upon you as their slave. That particular nation, in their own writings, in their own leadership's pen, looks at you as dogs and servants and slaves and will do anything to deface, ruin, and bring down this nation for the purposes of glorifying that one. And that nation, if you do the track record on it, historically speaking, they are not the true Jews from 2,000 years ago. Period. Period. So I'm saying this very respectfully, that we learn who our true master is, which is the Elohim, God. That's it. We don't serve another nation above any other nation, and we shouldn't be placating to one above all others just because the word is being pronounced by people as that's what the word says, and it's not what the word says, to be clear. And I'm only saying this not because I'm touting there's a new Israel or a new God's people, but the people that follow his only begotten Son, the Gentiles and the Jews that believe upon the finished work of the cross are God's people, period. So I'm just sickened by the numbers, by how many people have been slaughtered, by the lies, by the distortions. I'm sickened by what we're finding out about Charlie Kirk's wife. I'm sickened what we're finding out about where Charlie Kirk was going. I'm sickened about what's going on in this world, and it's all smoke and mirrors for what's really happening in the background. There is right now a complete and total financial system takeover by the world order, and this president is 100% behind it. I think there's some good in it, 100. And I think there's some bad in it, and I think we need to be considering all of it. AI on my phone just repeated what I said. That's interesting. Here we go. Um, Just to tell you a quick story, when you get and or are afforded the opportunity to travel the country or travel the world, and I got to go to two places with my wife specifically that were really life-changing for me. I heard stories on the Discovery Channel and History Channel about Jesus and the tribe of Levites being in South Africa 2,000 years later, and they did a full documentary. It was not a religious or believing based documentary. It was for the express purposes of doing a historical documented proof of where the tribe of Levites went to and could they be vetted as the true lineage DNA wise from the Levites 2,000 years ago. These Levites today were a small tribe in Africa living on a desert floor. They had solid gold implements. One of them, they were the implements of the Old Testament. These solid gold implements that they would have to take care of in order to perform the rituals of the tribe back in the day, those solid gold implements, one spoon was worth $1 million. This big, this big, and today's value $1 million, easy. They were holding on to this one spoon, but they had a ton of implements that when they escaped from Israel, from that place, and went down the coast and settled in, they kept the story of their heritage alive. And they didn't sway from the teaching of that from their grandparents to their parents to their children, and so on and so forth. The irony is this: they were as dark gets, they were black as black gets. And when they tested him after they gained favor in trying to find out who they were, where they were from, and mind you, they had the implements that the Levites would have had. They had the vestings that they would have had. They had the tabernacle, not the Ark of the Covenant, but they had many of these different implements that they were showing the camera crew that were in the millions, if not hundreds of millions from a historic value alone, but millions in the value of the gold alone. And they were poor and they just wanted to resonate their story and be told. And after a week of these people being interviewed, they finally gave their blood as a test to send in and determine if they were truly from the house of Levites. And 99.999%, yes, they were, which takes this whole narrative of who Israel is today out of the picture. So you need to ask yourself the why. Did the Holocaust truly happen, or was it something that was created in the 70s and 80s and 90s? Who was it that was really in the Holocaust in these places that were in some of the story? And look, I'm not going to tell you the historical account, I'm going to tell you the opinion of people. Because the opinion of people is it was not what was said or represented, and that this narrative of the Holocaust was created well after the events took place. Now, let's not even talk about that because I don't want to shame a people because nobody truly knows unless you look at was there gas chambers and test them, unless you look at the narrative of the many accounts of the Jews that were there that have numbers on their arms, and you look at the narratives of the historical account from an eyewitness and from a historical perspective, you might find that there was truly a form of a Holocaust. And you might find something completely different than the narrative that's being taught to the children today. Nevertheless, both took place, just not to the extreme, maybe. Who knows? I'm not going to make a prediction, but what I am going to say is the people that are in Israel today are not from the bloodline of the people that escaped 2,000 years ago. I'm going to say that. with certainty. I'm also going to say that being afforded to go to Rome and being afforded to go to France and these different countries, I'm walking in these 1,000-year-old churches, sometimes 1,500-year-old churches. You're going to find the oldest painting. I always ask, where's the oldest paintings? And they'll say over here. And I'll always go up to one of the black security guards and I'll ask them, where's the black Jesus? And they say, over there. And it's the first painting, generally something from the 14 or 1500s of the Madonna and of Jesus, and he's black as black gets. Now look, I don't care what color my God is, the creator. It doesn't bother me. It's just what bothers me is why lie? What bothers me is why make a flip and a counter narrative and bring in an entirely different people into that region and create these stories upon stories upon stories to give this region a homeland that maybe they didn't deserve, or a people a homeland that maybe they didn't deserve. What I do know, historically speaking, is quote unquote something for people to look at is that people were kicked out of most every single country they ever went into because of the practices of their banking and of their interests and how they would put a burden upon the people. And what I do know is if you were to listen to some of the speeches and some of the writings utilizing AI or utilizing a German eyewitness to take what Hitler was saying, you would probably hear a very different speech, more or less one that was created and almost sounds godly, literally. So I know what we're being taught, and I know another narrative. I don't know 100%, but I do know historically speaking, the history says and DNA says that that whole region was as dark gets. So why flip it and create a white Jesus? Why flip the race of people that are the true Jewish people of descent and give it to somebody else? And then why are those people in that region? Why do they look at Christians? Listen to me, Christians. If you go to Israel, you will be spit on, you will be mocked, you will be slapped. That is how the children of the Jewish people of Israel are treating and teaching their kids to deal with Christians. They're also teaching them from the Talmud that Jesus is burning in hell in excrement, literally teaching the Jewish people that we are supporting financially, that we are supporting from a war standpoint, that we are supporting from every single thought process in the world. We are behind them. Now, this is coming very conservatively as a believer who's supported Israel his whole life. And I don't know 100% either way what the truth is. I do know 100% that the Christians going to Israel today are being mocked, scorned, spit on, and slapped. I do know that. 100%. I do know that stuff gets leaked out pertaining to the Talmud and what the Talmud says about Jesus, about us, and what you guys are. And I do know that you will be at some point either put to death or put in a form of slavery to that people if they have it their way. I do know that. And I do know that there is a pressure coming from those organizations over people enough to get them killed and to put people in front of very important people like Charlie Kirk's wife, who I think is a honeypot. I personally think she is a lost soul, MK Ultra, Epstein ties honeypot put into the place of Charlie Kirk. And if you are watching anything and you are addressing the facts, you would see the same thing. It's not very difficult to see. And it could be lies being spun off, but to me, I don't think so. I don't think it's lies being spun off. And thank you for the Goyim comment clarifying what they consider us. Go look this up. Goyim, the worst of the worst, the lowest of the low. You serve them. And I believe all of America is being bled. I believe this country is through APAC, through many news media organizations are promulgating this lie to the mass population, showing that we are supposed to just be like this because this is what it is, instead of questioning, instead of asking real questions, instead of knowing the truth. Christians know the truth. Your pastors may in this one have it wrong. Don't go to Genesis, don't go to the Old Testament and try to prove that it says Israel. It doesn't say Israel, that those who bless this nation will be blessed, and those who curse don't even you have no idea what you're talking about. And we'll address that comment. We'll address that scripture because it is the people that believe upon the Son, period. And I really want people to understand that if there is a nation out there that has the most pedophilia, has the most abductions, has the most uh, genocide, let's call it genocide, has the most full-term abortions, and that nation is the nation we're supposed to be supporting? Really? That one that is spitting on Christians that are trying to come over and serve them? That is getting smacked around? Really? That's what you're brought up to believe, that your God is that way? And look, there's a whole nother narrative on who they serve and what Jesus actually said about those people. Start studying what Jesus said about those people. Start studying what they think about Jesus and just leave it right there. When we start supporting the people that we need to be supporting in this world, and we retain the funds and the military and the support for truly keeping peace. Iran has been on the block. General Clark, 30 years ago, whatever it was, got a memo in the Pentagon. We're going to take out these countries over the next 10 years. Iran was on the block and the final one to be taken. It has been a 30 or 40-year business plan. Okay. You don't even know the truth. I understand Iran has a horrific life. I get that. I've heard that from my spouse. I've heard that from my in-laws. I get that. And I believe that Iran needs to be helped when they are seeking freedom and they are oppressed and they're forced to be wearing things that they don't and shouldn't have to, because that is a choice for a woman not to, meaning the hijab, whatever you call it. I think it's disgusting when military force is used on the streets. But you know what, guys? Listen, it's really no different, just a little easier here. Our cops are still pushing on us. What are you going to do when it's robots? What are you going to do when the whole system changes and you don't have money to spend because you were heard saying something, because your expressed opinion on social media, therefore you're locked out of your bank accounts? What are you going to do? Is it 2 years from now? Is it three? Whatever it is, we know it's coming. And your president, the ones that everybody is claiming is their hero right now, their king, their messiah, is pushing the narrative of total global control through the United States of America. Now, there are some moves and counter moves that could be made in the midst of all this that could really do you and your family an amazing thing. And the people that are always at the top always win, financially speaking. If you have money, you're just in a different position. If you know how to hold the money and not in something personal under a bank or a security vault or security box, security deposit box, whatever you want to call those things, the things that are owned by the banks. If if you knew how to hold, if you knew what form of entity to hold, you could be in a position that can go well beyond the average person for a long time. So I'm not too worried about the upcoming events, but what I am worried about is the lies that many of us are hearing. And the lies are only going to get worse. Guys, we are being played by AI like you would not believe. AI at its form, at its root, could be demonic. AI could be nothing more than a program, but the one thing outside of omnipotence that the devil is trying to get is power, control, and to be godlike. And that omnipotence is very important to the devil. The AI, the blockchain, the inability to be pushed down, put out of business, singularity event, that structure allows for AI to be really godlike in a lot of different respects and controlling in this whole of the world, as COVID proved, very quickly, very efficiently, very easily. So I keep hearing 5 years. It could be 10, could be quicker, who knows? But I do know Agenda 2030 is the map. 2030 is the map. And we are here from the robot standpoint, the technology, trying to get one in every home in the next 10 to 15 years. We're here. So we got to ask ourselves, do we have the ability to live without being a party to the control grid? Do you have the ability to live debt free? Do you have, and those are the questions that we need to be answering. Those are the things that the VIP members are doing with me on a daily by daily basis just to discover what can be accomplished. Because if we are not ready for what's happening, you will be jobless in probably 5 years trying to figure out how to make money, period. Then you're going to go apply because you're going to be in need to get that stipend monthly. That's basically what's going to happen. Go watch videos from China right now and how they do business. Everything is currently by their phone. Every single move they make, it's a phone swap, it's a scan to get in their elevator, to get into their office, to get into the Uber, to call for a ride, to order food, order their coffee, all by the phone. They're done. Everything is completely locked down on the control grid, and they're actually programmed to think that all those cameras are there for their benefit. And I got to tell you, there is some good with the cameras to make it so that people don't steal, make it so people are easily going to be found in the event that there's a crime that takes place. But there's a reality that's far greater than you could ever imagine, because I've seen the play of what it looks like to be found instantaneously because your face goes scanned into a system. Look for this face. And I've seen a guy do the test with the CCP in China, and they had him surrounded within 3.5 minutes by officers all the way around because his face was flagged. And it was just a test, just to show the power of what these people have. So you won't be able to walk anywhere. I remember coming back from a trip in Cabo and uh they scanned my face and they said, "Welcome home, Kelby." I had my ID in my hand. I needed none of that. "Welcome home, Kelby." Wow. Okay, here we are. Here we are. There's benefit. Always there's that benefit. And then there's the plan behind the benefit. You know what I mean? It's like, what do we do with it? So, look, guys, I'm not here to upset people, upset the cart. I want people to know you are being set up by a Middle Eastern country that you are being told that you need to support. I'm telling you unequivocally, that's a fact. And I am telling you that we do not know the truth of anything going on in this world. I am telling you, they just found Ghislaine, whatever her name, Maxwell, in Canada with her brother standing on a street and responded to her name when somebody said her name. And they ran the picture of the person on the street through a past picture of Ghislaine. And AI says it's a 99.9% hit. It's her. She is on the street, released with her brother living in Canada. And don't think for a second Epstein isn't doing the same thing in Israel or wherever. He's Mossad. And there's just a different level. And you got to go listen to Catherine Austin Fitz, and you got to go listen to a few of these people who know the truth, who have been around the block, who have served in the organization and are now whistleblowers. And and take what they say for a grain of salt and let God resonate the truth in your heart. Because what's happening right now is the truth is being released in mass because full disclosure is very important to these evil people. And if you have full disclosure and you still make the path to support that, you were guilty, number one. Number two, you're going to be sorry you did. Not just maybe from a worldly standpoint, but from a supernatural standpoint, from a godly standpoint. I'm telling you right now, churches have Israel wrong. The government called the United States Corporation is supporting Israel, and it is wrong. Period. Period. Now, if this nation respected us as a nation, if this nation wasn't doing full term abortions, didn't have the largest child trafficking ring, wasn't alleged to take down the buildings on 9/11, and I can go on and on and on with the problems that are foreseeable with supporting this nation, I think you will be held accountable for who you choose to support with your dollars. And I know that for a fact by reading Revelations 18:4. So don't go with the narrative, go with the counter narrative and let God speak the truth to a few people out there who are willing to listen. And let's go in and pull the pastors and let's figure out how to get in front of the pastors with the truth, because that could change everything. But I do know this, that even the top echelon of pastors all over this country will never be swayed because they're too deep in the lie and probably too deep in other things, that they are held to a higher account. If they do anything out of the normal, they will be exposed. And there's many people, including pastors, that have been well beyond compromised. And I hate to say that. First question, Betsy, property taxes seems to be a few options. Colorado and India both have state-run divisions. You have to apply in order to be a designated property tax exempt. Can I go directly to county? Option one, fill out their forms and contract with them yearly. Fees must fill out annual reports. You would be under their control, asking their permission instead of standing up as an American. They can choose to remove the privilege. Of course, they can. Option two, do not pay property taxes and wait till they contact us. Then respond with a conditional acceptance form stating we will consider this if they can prove that we, a State of the Union citizen, must private, unregistered foundation, self-supported ministry can according to their IRS 26 statutes, etc., owe any property taxes. Our letters must state it clearly. Option 3, submit to them the same sort of letter ahead of time on the offense using one of the adhesion contract removal letters as an example. So this is an hour and a half dialogue. And I do want to say option 4, counter deed. When I learned, remember, I'm a broker, real estate in the state of California, on the test, and I've explained this to you guys many times. I'm only sharing it with the new people that are listening. One of the questions was, are you required to record a deed in the county upon purchase? The answer was no. Now, I want you to understand the ramifications of what I just said. So what is the county going to do if you don't record the deed? Well, they're going to go to the seller, the last person who closed out the account. They're going to ask them for a copy of that deed, and they're probably going to get it, and then they're going to record it without your permission because you never signed it, you never consummated it. And which is really an important thing to understand, a deed acceptance. Also, another thing to understand is the vesting style. Also, another thing to understand is the style to which you're what kind of entity you're holding it in. I hear a lot of teachers talk about land contracts, land trusts. They don't understand the deed. I understand the deed. I think I'm the only guy in the nation that has been teaching on this for years. And why aren't people in masses forwarding this information out and sharing it? Your deed is a trick. It's done joint tenants. That's the vesting. It's done with a instead of the proper vesting, fee simple absolute. It's done with your name or a corporation's name, both of which they own. It's done with United States Federal Reserve notes, to which a Supreme Court ruling has made them a party to every transaction, meaning they are a player. They have an interest. It's done with a legal description and not meets and bounds. And it's done where you're not even signing as the receiver. You're not even agreeing to and accepting the deed. So you only have a seller selling and recording a transaction. So what does the county do? They become the owner. You start paying property tax, and you will get kicked out, and they'll find somebody else to pay that property tax if you don't pay it. And the county becomes the owner because you recorded a legal description with your name using Federal Reserve notes on a joint tenancy. Everything about the deed is wrong. And you didn't even sign it. You didn't even accept it. The whole consummation, the whole transaction is fraud. This last 5 minutes should go out to the world. It is fraud in the factum. It is deceit above deceit. Every layer of this transaction is without full disclosure and is done with the express purposes of helping you think you own something, but defrauding you out of true ownership. True ownership. It's just like the birth certificate. It's just like what they did with the mom and dad. The dad didn't consummate the birth certificate. Generally, it's the mom who signs on it. And the mom is the informant, one who turns one over. The baby, the live born records turned over to the state and put on an abandonment certificate, if you will. That's one of the definitions of birth. And I say this all to you guys respectfully because the fourth option, I think, is going to be the future true option, where you purchase the property as a foundation, and you pay up the taxes, you do whatever you're going to do, and then you do a new deed again to a new foundation, a counter deed that you never record. You close the account and then you don't give them a copy of the deed. And this one can take the deed and put it anywhere they want, just not in that county in the real estate records. You're not going to record it. But I would record I would put the deed into the public with a note. I would completely take all the information that's important to the deed off the deed. And I would advise the county through a form of letter that you've in fact purchased that land, not APN, and that you are not going to be recording the deed or accepting any of the benefits of the county. Thank you. Now, you have done the requirement. You've closed the account. They can't arbitrarily create an account for you. They can't take a deed that they don't have and register it in the county on an APN when nobody's letting them, especially being that you would write them a letter of a publicly recorded document in another county and serve them with it, letting them know you are not contracting with them, letting them know that you are not opening up an account, letting them know you do not want to receive the benefits of the county. What are the benefits? Generally, it's fire and police. So careful. You may have to call them. I don't think they have anything in place yet, but they're not going to come to your house if you call them. Now, on that note, that's the benefit of the county, that they do certain things for the privileges of the property tax. So you may lose those things. Big deal. I don't think of it as a big deal. I'll go get a sprinkler system for our house. I'll go paint my roofs blue, and I think y'all know why. I'll go dig a well with asking nobody's permission. I'll put in a rain gutter system going into tank after tank after. I will control my own fires. I think I have to anyways nowadays, right? By the way, I was just in the Pacific Palisades and I got to see the homes and got to talk to a guy and I got to ask the guy, what do you think? He believed in the narrative. I said, tell me what happened. He said the winds had to be 120 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour. I said, you know, that sounds a lot like Hawaii. They've never experienced anything like it. Was it like a tornado fire? And he said, yes. And I said, question, why isn't that house right there burnt? But those two are completely burnt. He said, I don't know. And he said, I started talking to him. He said, you think, and it was funny as crap. He's all, you probably one of those guys that thinks Michelle Obama has a penis. And I'm like, of course he does. His name is Michael, of course, you know. Anyway, look, that's just a whole nother conspiracy. It's a pretty dang good one, though. I mean, I'm gonna suggest that's a good one. So listen, Betsy, I'm gonna do my best to, and I did my best to answer your question. I think the clear answer is don't contract, but there's a better way to do it, and it's a step by step. Close the account with a properly paid up account, and then don't recontract with them, and then therefore there's no new account started, and there's no bills accruing. Okay. That is the only proper way to affect a transaction, because if you just say no, they're going to build it up, do the foreclosure, let somebody lien up. They're going to put a lien on it in 3 to 5 years and let somebody buy it out and do a pretend sale, and you're done. You know what I mean? So just don't play those games. Anyway, next question. I have a postmaster box. I have notified every vendor about the new address change, but companies like the Colorado Department of State, Department of Motor Vehicles, banks still send. I wonder why. Yeah, just again, open it up, take a picture, return it to sender. No such person exists at this address, and then handle the bill, handle whatever you need, but keep returning it to sender. It's it's pretty simple. I have a stamp somewhere over there. Um, put it back in the mail, and they get sick of receiving it. They're going to send you a phone call and you're going to say, look, I told you it needs to come in the foundation. Everything's going to get returned if you don't. It's the only way to get it done. And again, that's the hardest thing to get done in the living in the private is to make people comply. That's it. Um, so it looks like you posted the same question twice. Uh, Seeking the next best steps for jury duty summons. Receive first ever summons for jury duty home mailbox. Sadly, home address is on my driver's license regarding living in the private. I've done the foundation MBA. Da, 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 da. I emailed the juror commissioner stating that while haven't thoroughly reviewed my eligibility status, I wanted to proactively inform them of my intentions to practice jury nullification. They told me to still fill out the form. So number one, you can't be required to fill out a form. Number two, we have a letter. You can make a request and we'll give it to you, and it generally just makes them go away. Because you never, private man, you never want to say no. What you want to say is, I would love to. I just need some clarity on who exactly the requirement is for. And then you send a letter, certified mail, and then you send a second letter, and they're going to keep responding with, you could be responsible. And the bottom line is they didn't respond, but you are operating in honor, is the point. And they realize that. They realize they screwed up and didn't respond, and therefore there's no contract. You're not operating outside of the will. You just want clarification. It's just like going to court with a counterclaim or a conditional acceptance, if you will. Okay. Next question for Gary. I've contributed to, my house to the foundation. Use his a fee simple deed template recorded with the county recorder. If I am able to change the deed to a allodial title, will that remove the property tax from the tax roll? So if you use our deed template, the title is allodial from the standpoint of fee simple absolute. So if that's the recordation and you got confirmation, you have absolute tenure and title to the center of the earth. So the next narrative of how to show them that the property is tax exempt it's a day-long seminar, because every county, and it's the first question that was asked, and I had responded with my best way, if it were up to me, fight them. They don't like it, sell the property, close the account, do a new deed, counter deed. And you gotta understand what a counter deed is. Let me grab my Black's Law real quick, because I think it's important that people get a clear understanding of who they are and why it's so important. Valentine's, hold on. Box. Here we go. Sometimes it's under deed, sometimes it's under counter deed. So give me a second. But I want to read it to you. This is derived from a Supreme Court ruling, and it's to show you what kind of deeds are available. And there's a ton of deeds available. But counter deed, okay, this Black's Law definition: a secret deed executed either before a notary or under a private seal that voids, invalidates, or alters a public deed. So, meaning, if there is a deed recorded and my deed is the next on the chain and it's not recorded and I'm holding it in the private, and I serve them with a notice stating that the house has been purchased, we've closed the account over here, or they have closed the account, meaning the seller. And this is really, again, why I'm saying this is probably the best approach. Either you either quasi apply for the exemption, and there are people that have won the exemption. As a matter of fact, we have a gentleman, $42,000 a year savings. So that's a fight I don't want to have. The easier way is have a secondary foundation that you sell the deed off to. Now you're controlling both ends of the transaction. You close the account with this foundation. You do not open up a new account with the new foundation, and they're left with no contract, period. Why do you think they created this counter deed? Think about it. AI is angelic technology being given to mankind. The problem is not the technology existing, but how it will be used. Agree. It will also provide the infrastructure of a host that spiritual entities will be able to work through. Interesting. Cameras everywhere can definitely provide a measure of security for citizens because gangs hate competition. Um, AI is definitely at the point where it can fool people. Oh yeah. I can't trust what pictures and videos on screen they show anymore. Correct. In opening up an exchange account on Caleb and Brown using my foundation info, it is asking my legal first and last name with no option for a business name. You can go and get a business link. They have a specific link for business accounts where you can put in that information. In opening up an exchange account on Kraken using my foundation info and prompts me for a personal or business account, is it safe to select business? Yeah, 100%. You're welcome, Betsy. Okay, any more questions over here? Is filing a UCC good or other or wise for equity stripping for the home? Yes. Yeah, 100%. You can actually do just deed of trust, secondary deed of trust, utilizing a foundation, like you gave it a loan and just record it in the county recorder. Now you've eaten up the equity versus a UCC one handled at the Secretary of State. You know what I mean? So it's pretty important for you to think about it that way. Just do what the banks do. And being a lender for many years, yeah, it's I know many people that did it even to, unfortunately, their own family members, um, divorce issues and stuff like that. I haven't filed my apostille yet, and I got a summons for, okay, I think that's SIN one. If I participate, Kelly, just go and make a request for a copy of our jury summons letter on support at hisadvocates.org. By the way, I got some news, guys. Um, we're really going to promote the book to go out to everybody for free. We're getting it put into a PDF together. We want to get this out to as many people as possible. Again, if you need a physical copy, send $150 to his advocates and we'll send you 50 books. That's a deal. Mailed, delivered 50 books. It's always nice to have and hand a book out, but I really want this to get out to the masses. So we're creating a marketing campaign. We're working hard on it in the background, but we're going to be giving the book away for free in the PDF form. Our goal and our hope is to generate interest in truth and expanding the information about state citizenship. It's unfortunate, people look at anything that has a cost and immediately disassociate themselves with it. I get it. But there is a reality for us that everything costs money. You just need to understand in this nature of what we teach, there is a truth, and it's difficult to find the truth. It's not easy. It really is. It's difficult to find the truth, and I'm looking forward um, to teaching people this on a mass basis. And the book is absolutely a great book for people to get out there and send to your friends and family. But it's going to be simple. They're going to get it by going to hisadvocates.org and downloading it. It's that simple. So I'm really excited about that. But let me see any other questions. Again, I don't mean to offend anybody on the whole Israel thing, especially if you are from Israel. It's not my intent. Um, but I don't ever want to support a country where they're spitting on us for our beliefs and where they teach their people that our God is living in excrement, according to the Talmud, and burning in hell. And that's not cool. That's not cool, and it goes way, way beyond that. And guys, I think once we get our minds wrapped around just how big the lies are with churches, religion, um, these alphabet soup agencies, governments, the land in the world, there's land that has yet to be discovered in this world. I guarantee that. and again, I don't, look, go do this, look up yourself. Um, there is a land in between in all the old maps in the 1600s that disappeared in the 1700s called the Land of Jesus between Russia and Alaska. Go do your own research. There is so much that they are keeping from us. The answer is why. There's so much that we don't know. Why are they keeping it from us? Because if we truly knew the truth and we truly understood what was going on, we would absolutely believe in a God. And that's we would see the creation, we would understand, but they develop these myths, they use these agencies, these entities called NASA, which means to deceive in Hebrew, to trick us, to fake us, to make us believe in things that aren't real. I don't personally think we ever went to the moon. I'm not going to argue with you on this, okay? You may think that's absolutely absurd, but listen, I think I'm right, and it's okay. It's okay. I don't think we have a station on Mars. We just found it in the northernmost part of Canada on Google Earth. I don't think many things that they're teaching and telling us, I don't think are true and exist. So just know that. And just know that Mars may be something different than what you really understand. And just know that this whole thing is all going to point back to a glorious nature of a creator, and we're going to be the winners in the end, and we're going to watch this thing play out, and it's going to be people that expose the truth. It's going to be people that stand up against the tyranny, uh, that are going to be rewarded. It doesn't take 100 million people. It takes one, two. So stand up, guys. Be that guy in your family, to be that weirdo in your family that, speaks up, speaks the truth. The whole purpose of me creating this book was to show the element that sovereignty is absolute. It's real. It's here. The Supreme Court agrees with me. It's not debatable. That was the whole point of this book, is to challenge the narrative of what they're trying to teach the masses. They're lying to the masses, and we got to prepare for the truth to get out to the masses, because the next step is total control. John says, a while ago you said that there was a Wells Fargo contact. You'd be able to open up a foundation account. Are they familiar with the process? Yeah, John, just post a question on our support ticket and we'll give you the name and number. They're out here in Cali though, but they can open up anywhere. It just has to be in person. But she told me you can open up online too. I have not tried it, but I've helped her get a couple of accounts opened here locally. And if you come out, I'll take you to lunch, or you'll take me to lunch, or we'll have lunch together. Doesn't matter. I'll make an introduction. Be more than happy to. It's just something you never win, because the value is discernment of the eyes of the beholder. Some people reject because there's a price. Some people reject because there's no price, so therefore there's no value. Yeah, John, every time I've given this LPP away, nobody stopped. Not one. Not one. And I'm giving the passport services away to a lot of people in the Republic with an oath of office. I'm trying to get the people in the Republic converted to state citizens. And that's fighting. It's like fighting tooth and nail. It's crazy. Um, did you address the questions from my email Friday? No, Jeff, thanks for the reminder. Um, hold on. Okay. All right. Good job, Jeff. It's a good reminder. Soft touch. A few months ago, I'll be turning 55, and I have a pension that I can collect on a lump sum. I'm wondering whether there is a way to receive the pension into my foundation without having taxes and penalties automatically taken out, or if that's unavoidable with my circumstances. I don't know what kind of pension you have. I don't know how it's to be received. You can receive anything in a direct sum to your foundation account directly. You can also, depending on the type of pension it is, maybe assign the rights to the pension before it's collected to the foundation as if it was purchased by the foundation before. Again, it's the type. Um, Worst case scenario is you take it directly into the foundation bank account. You write you take the lump sum payment, and obviously it's not considered income. Ask your CPA, what is the max deduction I can make for donating it to my foundation? It'll offset a ton of taxes and maybe go in reverse on taxes as well. I'm not a tax guy, but there's 1,000 different ways to slice anything. So if it were me, I'd try to sell it and and have an entity buy it, walk in, make the claim of ownership, and receive it. I also have a solo 401k. Is there any way I get the existing 401k and somehow put it into the foundation? Um, Jeff, as fast as you can, take the hit. Try to tell them you're not willing to pay the 20%. You'll pay it later. Take the hit. Get the foundation to receive the 401k, all of it, if possible. Sometimes they force the element of a 20% keepsake for the IRS, even if that is what would take place, doesn't matter. Let it happen. Buy. Uh, if it were me, gold, silver, crypto, guns and ammo, and food, particularly SRP. As fast as you can. But don't worry about the hit of the 20%. Some 401ks will let you deal with the IRS later and give you a lump sum. Some will make sure they're taking the deduction up front. Next question. My original plan has been to purchase corporate run home care franchise as a way to create some passive income. That's great, man. 30 grand a month for a room. It's huge. Whatever it is. I do know that. Um, Lately, though, I've been growing uneasy about whether people will be able to afford that kind of service in the not too distant future. I agree. And also government subsidies and whether they're going to be willing to pay for those types of services. I agree. Because of that concern, I'm re-examining whether I should pursue the franchise at all or skip that step. I can't give you advice on what to do because I do know people out there with 7-bedroom houses with every house rented, every bedroom rented to two different people, charging 25 grand, 30 grand a month for each room. So each person, 10, 15 grand a month. I do know that. And they have a healthcare set of providers, nurses, different things like that, helping them with their drug addictions, retirement, whatever it might be. So I can't tell you, but if we do go into a social credit score system, business is gone. And you're gonna be left holding the bag on a major house payment or major bill due. You know what I mean? If it were me, I'd buy a few cryptos and a XRP, XDC, HBAR, I'd put them in a hard wallet as fast as you can. Crypto is really down right now, and all by design. We're getting to the point where it's not going to stay low. As a matter of fact, I think that hopefully tomorrow will be a great day. Um, from the beginning, my heart for the foundation has been able to create a regenerative farm that could help feed the hungry. I genuinely feel as though God may be bringing me into an opportunity to move on that calling, and with some creative financing and advice, I may be able to help accomplish all that. If I can get a pension money with all the taxes drawn and penalties to be withdrawn, I would be prepared to submit an offer on a property that I believe could be good to fit. Um, if it would be helpful for context, I'd be glad to share the details that I offered with you. Sure, absolutely. I'll tell you how to buy it in the private too. Um, Another question is having a purchase agreement in the name of the foundation, how would the agreement be able to record with the attorney, and how would I deal with the deed due to the seller financing? Um, so when it comes time for if a seller is doing financing, obviously they are the lender. It's going to be up to them whether they want to submit to certain things upon what kind of deed is being recorded to what kind of entity. Now, if it were me, I'd just record the structure in my name and then I would quit claim it to the foundation after the fact on a properly recorded vested deed. They don't for excuse me, they don't foreclose on the notes. Or excuse me, they foreclose on the notes. They don't foreclose on deeds of trust. So you can take the title and control it in the name of a foundation. And obviously, if you're making payments on a private party, they're never going to foreclose. But if they do foreclose, it's not going to be because you did a deed transfer. It's going to be because you are not making a payment. So they'd foreclose on the note, not the deed of trust. Now the question is, of having the purchase agreement in the name of the foundation, how would you get? Okay, so that portion of the question, a lot of attorneys uh don't know this, but there's only a few title companies that are going to record in the name of a foundation, and it can be forced if the foundation is funding out the entirety of the transaction, but you're not, you're doing seller financing. So it's going to be the seller is the lender. So the seller is going to do whatever they want to do. So if you can convince the seller to record in the name of the foundation, your one problem left over is to find a title company that'll do a title policy with the foundation. Otherwise, put it in your name and just do a flip, quit claim, what have you, to the foundation. There's also a question about how to hold any remaining pension funds after a down payment on the land is needed to set aside money to be building the home property. It sounds like, honestly, Jeff, you just probably need a consult just to really structure that up properly. But you got to first find out where you stand with your pension, where you stand with your 401k. Get that dialed in so you know from a cash flow standpoint where you are. Um, it's funny, guys. I've been watching all the homesteads shows um for 20 years. And I'm in the middle of a city and I want at least to know I have water from the ground. I want to have storage containers full of water. I want to have, my own electricity. I want to have security. I want to have all these things. Um, and I want to be able to help the people, the community. I want to, it's not going to be because I'm growing a bunch of food on this land. But I will hold a bunch of food and I do grow food. I have like 40 fruit trees, but they're young and they're just starting to fruit right now. So it's kind of cool when you're looking at the element of being private and being able to go into your backyard, grab a fig, grab an orange, grab some lemons, and I would love to have a couple cows back there, some goats back there, and just make sure I find somebody that can handle it all full time because I'm too busy, on the front end doing things. But the bottom line is, guys, look, um, pertaining to your question, Jeff, just, you know, there's an element also about how to structure up the paper. You can do it private if you can convince the guy to help you with that, jurisdictionally, positionally, how the deed looks, all that stuff. Otherwise, you can just do whatever you do with him, and then after the fact, come and do a new deed for yourself. But um, you would hold the remaining pension funds in a foundation account and just leave the restriction and anybody's ability to access them away by doing that. I would be buying personally, I wouldn't leave money in any account, foundation or personal. I would be, again, gold, silver, guns, ammo, certain crypto, food, debt. Debt's important. I know people think, they love the whole element of leveraging debt. I'm not that guy. I'm a biblical kind of a guy. I think that we have debt and staying out of debt. If you were in my position, would you be more inclined to pursue the home healthcare franchise path? No, because a lot of that is government sponsored, and people are going to get to the point in 5 or 7 years, 10 years max, where potentially, and I think it's going to happen, the social credit score system is going to kick in effect, and those types of things are not going to be available. So like, how are they going to do it? They're going to massively drop the entirety of the wealth, and the 3 to 5% that are able to hold on to 1 to 5%, whatever it is, that are able to hold on and still have wealth, because they're debt free, they're smart, they've paid off their house and all those things. I'd be steering clear of anything that would need a governmental support or where the social credit score system wouldn't hurt it. And so getting into a home or a homestead where you can have other people on the property, they could pay rent, they could contribute, and they could build out. That again is an income producing thing. You're not going to kick them out when times get hard. They'll have to end up working harder towards to keep their rent going. There's all kinds of options with that, and there is the ability to make money still. I know a lot of people that make money off produce that they're selling on their land. A lot of people. Uh, Thank you sincerely for all the prayers guidance you've already poured in through the prayer service. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that, bro. And the inspirational huddles, especially since my injury and the loss of my business. Your ministry has been a lifeline to me in a very difficult season. I'm truly grateful for the way that you've uh, walked with me from a distance, and I will deeply appreciate the perspective you're willing to share. Absolutely, Beth. Yeah, just I have an entire purchase ability in the private set of docs, and so if you want a copy, that I'd be more than happy to share that with you. Obviously, you've gone through the LPP and all that stuff, and I appreciate you and what you've done. So you can take a look at that. And one of the ways to, do things is get a power of attorney over the note and deed and get them to sign off on a deed, but don't record the deed. There's a lot of benefit in that, and we could discuss that later. Um, with a foundation, are you subject to capital gains tax? You're not subject to any tax of any kind that the foundation owns. If you were to make a trip out to your local wells in the future, how would you go about scheduling that? I'll just reach through Alex and we'll set something up. Just give me a week or two. It'll be quick. I'm an affiliate with the founder of a private law website, and she teaches us to use 1099 a forms to claim back past taxes and expenses that we paid. Be very careful with that, Brenda. The 20%, I assume, would be federal tax. Yep. Be talking about the payment for the closing of a 401k. Yes. I assume federal tax would also be eclipsed by the appreciation of the immediate reallocation out of the currency. Absolutely, brother. You're looking at 100 to 1,000x on XRP. Just trust that one. Do your own research. Live it out in your head how that looks for you. I asked a local real estate agent at our church I could use 21 to 30 silver dollars based on a Bible for the house, them buy back the silver in the second transaction with the FRNs they wanted for the house. Do you think about that? She didn't think the seller would agree. You don't need to go through all that. It's all is what is on the deed. So you can, if you're wanting to structure up a deed properly, just ask us for a copy of the deed. If you need some help on a purchase and how to properly do it, consider a consultation with me. I'd be more than happy to kind of walk you through how to structure it up. I'd also make phone calls with you and talk to people on how to structure it up. I do it all the time. Did you say for me to be very careful with the 1099A claims? Yes, I did. Be very careful with those. Going back after past taxes is a huge red flag for the IRS. Kelby, what do you recommend? You have already converted your ID to the real ID. Heck to the no. Real ID is a passport. I'm never going to get real ID for a driver's license. Kelby, if I joint married, SS benefits reach 32K is subject to taxation. What about holding paychecks from bosses if one doesn't file? Abel, what's up, brother? Um, don't worry about joint marriage. If you're a state citizen, you don't have an obligation to file a return. You're going to be putting that money direct deposit into your foundation, which would make the 32,000 60% go to a donation and bring down your taxable net income under 12K, which is that's not even a single filing requirement. I think it's 16.5 for a single, 22 or 24.5 for a couple, minimum income. So you wouldn't even have to file if you just did that by donating it to your foundation. And if you did have to file, which you would, they might ask you down the road what happened, and you're just going to say, I made a donation to a foundation, and you're done. All right, guys, look, I'm begging you for help. I'm going to be putting some marketing out in the next couple days to give this book away in a PDF format to as many people as we can. I'm going to send an email to the database. I'm going to beg you guys to please forward the email out to your friends and family. Tell them to go and get this book. The only thing they're going to have to do is join hisadvocates.org, get the book. It's obviously going to allow for us to trickle into them a series of information, videos, and things that they will watch and hopefully gain ground with all of this nation in understanding what does it mean to be private under God, free. Help me to help your family. I love the Jerry Maguire movie, Help Me to Help You. I really want to get this out to the masses. So we're going to give the book away, and we're just going to ask for your support. Just forward the email off to your friends and family, get them to join, get them to read the book, and let's follow up together with them and see what we can do. God bless you guys. Have a great week. Thank you for entertaining my lateness, but I did show up at about 4:45, so you may have missed 15, 20 minutes. Go watch the first part of this video again. God bless. Have a great day. Enjoy your time. I will see you for your VIP members tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. God bless you guys. Have a great night.